Hey everyone, we're going to take a quick break to talk about our sponsor for the month, the Von Mack Agency. Von Mack is a full-service digital marketing agency with a focus on tour and activity operators. They offer it all. SEO, websites, pay-per-clicks, logos, content writing. If it's online marketing, they got you covered. As we mentioned before, it's uber important to hire an agency that understands our industry. And the Von Mack Agency knows water sports. Trust me.
And they do all the shit that you don't want to do. They do all the shit that you're probably not very good at, and they are. Look, for listeners of the show, America herself is giving a free consult, all right? If nothing else, give her a shout, give her a call, take 30 minutes out of your day. More importantly, take 30 minutes out of her day so she can get you straight on your marketing needs.
That's right. What do you have to lose? Head to vonmackagency.com and go to the Contact Us page to get started. Again, vonmackagency.com. And most importantly, let them know you were sent by the AWG guys. All right, let's get back to the show.
Episode 169 of Awkward Watersports Guys. And I just want to pump out like 20 episodes a week so we can be on episode 469. I'm a juvenile. I'm fucking juvenile. It's just like I can't help it.
I know.
Go back to episode 69 and watch the lead in. Listen to the lead in. I was so excited. It's so dumb. So so it's episode 69 of the Awkward Watersports Guys podcast, in which to get ready for the Arrival takedown, the Arrival recap. I'm kidding. I'm not gonna take it.
It's gonna be nice this year.
I like Arrival. I'm going to be nice this year. I'm suffering from like a heart attack and a lot of mental instability, more so than I already suffer from as it stands. So I've walked it back. I've walked back some of my comments. I perused some sessions this time. I gave Douglas my word. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those that did not attend or don't know what we're talking about, you should if you've been listening to the show. We descended on Orlando last week for the Port, which was Monday the 9th. And then after the Port, Arrival was the preceding next 3 days. And I can say that it was the best, one of the best times I've had in a long time. I think the forum was extremely successful. And I know that because almost all of y'all walked up to us and said that. And a lot of people got a lot of value from it, which I've heard. Our sponsors were very happy. They got leads. And, I think what's great about all this is that this is a community that's serious about doing business. They're serious about working with the sponsors that care about the industry and they want to advance it. And that's so important because they're there for you and you're there to give them your time and potentially your business. And that's to make this all work. Make this community grow and work. There has to be engagement. Yeah. So I just want to shout out to our sponsors that thank you so much for being there and everyone that attended. It was excellent. What do you think? Yeah.
I kind of struggle with these things as they are Arrivals, in particular is tough for me because when I'm on the podcast, it's just you and I forget that people download and listen. And I just say whatever I want and people know my life. And so it's always weird for me when people know me. And so I get a weird anxiety about that. You know what I mean? I get down there. So I hide a lot, I do. I'll talk to people I know, but then and not to say that I'm not approachable, but it just it weirds me out.
We know that. The biggest question that people get asked at Arrival is where's Kevin? That's the number one question I get asked. Where's Kevin? I don't know. Yeah. He's like a ghost. You might see him, you might not.
Yeah, man. I hide because it's it is really such a personal thing for me, man. I take it in. I talked with. I don't want to do the phony politician thing. When someone's running for office, I was talking with Glenn over in the steel mill. But I do. I hear your stories. And I hear your struggles, and this, it's reflective of my own, and it gets to a point where I want to see everybody succeed and win, so badly that when I do have these deep talking with operators from Fort Myers Beach, it's a difficult prospect that they're dealing with. So a lot of times I just kind of like, it's weird. This is great form for me, but I have a little bit of social anxiety, believe it or not. Like I do my presentation and then
it's funny because I don't think anyone would unless you told them that. I don't think anyone would really know that that's something you struggle with. Because I mean, because you're such a sociable guy. But no, I felt it. I mean, there was a time at Arival where I just went up to my room and I needed to just have a few hours to myself. Yeah. You know, especially I'm trying to, part of that was it's really frustrating to sell a reservation software when your competition is all really good. Oof. And you're trying to find that opportunity to say, we are way better than them. And to be honest, a lot of the reservation systems at this point, they all have about the same features. You know, it is really tough. So, you know, I met with a lot of folks, did demos, and, you know, for me, I mean, I'm telling you guys, you know, from a software perspective, and I've heard this from other software companies, is one, it's really hard for y'all to change software. I recognize that. And when I'm sitting down with a demo, like that's the first thing in my head is this person's going to have to retrain 20 of their team members. They're going to have to change a lot of their processes because we're all built a little differently. Even though we have similar features, we just are different in nature. And that's a tough sell, you know, especially people that had to use their software for 5-6 years. So, I'm really focused on people that are just getting up or getting new companies started. And there's not a whole lot there at Arival. Usually the folks that go to Arival, you know, they are already past that stage. So, I mean, I kind of
you're walking into like a fucking lion, then, dude. Like, I mean, like the reality of it is like you hear these people get up and they like go after Viator and they go after Fair Harbor or Peak or Checkfront or whatever it may be, and then everybody sort of gets lumped in together. So it's like, oh, these res tech companies and these OTAs, and we're tired of hearing this bullshit. And then here's like old Greg, you know, over there in the corner, like, hey, yeah, like. But I'm a good one. And like, me too. Like, don't make me a bad guy. Like, I can't even imagine what it must be like for you to go through these things. Like, I mean, how do you not personalize that or, you know, inject yourself into that conversation?
Well, you know, my, when I went to Arival, I knew that what I was up against. I mean, it's no different than the guy that's starting out with 2 boats that's going against, you know, someone with 50 boats that have been around for 30 years that has all the market share. Like that's wave res, right? But at the same time, you have to find what separates you. There's going to always be something that separates you. And what separates wave res is that I know how to build a really successful water sport company. I'm able to give, since we're not huge, I'm able to give the time to the operator to really help build their business, to help design their products, to make them more money, make them more profitable. Like I'm a phone call away. So it's like I said, we can go tit for tat on the features, but I'm looking for ways to separate us. And, you know, we have the partnership with TripShock and there's opportunity there if you're in some of our markets. So there are some things that separate us, but you have to really cut through all the noise, you know, just being at a conference and you're seeing, you know, these reservation systems and OTAs with massive sponsorships, big booths. They have a ton of their people there. It's like, it can be your David versus Goliath story, but at the same time, people do like good stories and they do like to work with really good people. Are you tired of spending countless hours managing your water sport and boat rental reservations manually? Is your current system outdated or doesn't provide the necessary features that your business requires? Hi, I'm Greg Fisher, the CEO of WaveRes, an online reservation software built by operators for operators. With our system, you can offer 24/7 online booking to your customers, allowing them to book and pay for their rentals at their convenience. You can also send SMS notifications to your customers, keeping them updated on their reservation status in any changes that may occur. Custom options and dynamic pricing enable you to offer tailored packages to your customers, helping you stand out from your competitor. Plus, our system integrates with companies like Werewolf Digital Waivers and TripShock, streamlining your operations and ensuring a seamless booking experience for your customers. Our software is the best choice for water sport and boat tour operators as it is designed to cater specifically to your needs. So why waste any more time on manual reservation management? Try WaveRes today and take your business to the next level. For a limited time, mention this ad and receive a $100 credit when you sign up. Check out waveres.com for more info or to schedule a free demo. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, so this is why this is like topical and relevant, guys. It's because no matter how you slice it, it's like a relationship business, whether it be between you and your customer, you and your supplier, you and your landlord, you and your employees. Like, we're all in a huge relationship business. And that is ultimately my summation of what Arival is. It's an opportunity to build relationships. And I think because Bruce and Douglas are both so relationship driven, and value driven and education driven, that like they want to make sure that you are getting everything you can. They want to have a great product. They want to have a great relationship with you. And I've said it a few times, you know, it's like where you're really going to learn is out in the periphery. It's going to be like out in the hallway. And like to that point a little bit, doing our forum with Arival was really illuminating. And so I have to like touch on that because as much as the Awkward Watersports Guys podcast is not a business, it's sort of a business now. Over the last few years, and what turned into like a fun little like passion project is like there's like a lot of people listening and relationships, and so it gave me a lot of insight this year into the struggles that both of Doug and Bruce and their entire team really has to go through to pull off what they're trying to pull off, which is like it's hard and monumental because they're reaching their hands across like multiple verticals, a small business to major corporations, content. Like there's all of this stuff that they have to touch on, and they're trying to make everyone happy. And to that point, like I can't even remember what it was. It was something so Karen-y, like about me, you know, like I couldn't, you know, figure out what it was. How do I get my badge? How do I blah, blah, blah. And I like went to the help desk, and Nicole, who is I don't know if Bruce's like executive assistant, I don't know what her official title is, but like I walk up to the desk, she was like, Kevin. She knew me by name, and not because I'm like some big part of Arival's massive. They're in three or four different countries. They go from Florida to California. They have speakers. I mean, this is like somebody coming up to rent a jet ski from you or a boat, and they're like, Steve, before you even hit the desk. And I'm like, man, that's awesome. You know, like I was having like just basically like a senior moment, like trying to get my ticket and my badge or whatever. And like Bruce, and first thing in the morning was like making sure that I was getting taken care of. And so you see this big event that they're putting on, but then you also see like they're still dealing with the same struggles that we all do as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as experience providers. They're still dealing with the same bullshit. And I go I walk down the hallway, and Bruce is like, hey, Kevin, meet so-and-so. Like they're truly so about their product and their business and what it is that they're doing, that they're literally walking you to the desk, that their people know your face. And man, to me, that is like, that's fucking everything. I can't, when you see that level of care put into something, like this is what I preach from the mountaintops to aspiring entrepreneurs. Right? Like, I don't know what to do. I want to be in blah, blah, blah. Like, well, find the thing that you were put on the planet to fucking do, and then do that thing really, really well, and do it all the time. And that's what they both do. And I just, on a personal level, the forum was just so great because they helped and guided us through and worked and had to work with fucking me. You're easy. I'm a little rough around the edges. So yeah, anyway, an impassioned.
Yeah. And to add to that, putting together just a 1-day forum, my God, that took months of planning, marketing, selling tickets.
My God.
And
can you imagine?
And just imagine this, like 3 weeks before, only like 45 tickets were sold. Like, and we're just like, what is going on? Now we had some ticketing issues that could have been improved, and we will make sure that won't happen next year. But at the same time, you know, a lot of it has been invested, but then all of a sudden, like the next week goes by and then everything gets bought up. We were actually really close to selling out the room. We were only short by maybe 10 or 15 seats. So, you know, thank you all for making the effort to get in there. But yeah, it's a lot of work to put the one day event together. But I think we hit the points. The content was on point. Some of you gave us some good feedback, and we're going to have a survey in our group too, just to kind of get more of that, because we're all constantly trying to improve the forum and the product that we're putting out. But a lot of you came up to me and said, can we just have 1 day of just roundtables? Like 5 of you came up and asked that. Can we do the roundtables? And I think the roundtables are always been great is because you're really close to each other. You're kind of forced to interact. I mean, the talking doesn't stop. Every time at the end of the 45 minutes, we have to like yell at y'all to stop talking because you're just sharing ideas and you're learning so much from each other. And you have the big companies and the small companies together sharing things. And even sometimes the big companies can learn from the small companies. So, you know, Keith Walston, who got our Lifetime Achievement Award, Keith said, this is what makes America great. Like getting these small businesses together. He's like putting and then letting them learn. I mean, here's a guy like Keith. Keith doesn't need to be coming to these things. I mean, that guy has achieved so much. He has a massive company, multiple boats. Does he really need to be there sharing information with small business operators? No, because he knows the importance of developing this community, how it can also benefit him in the future from potentially acquisition, hiring, just the information, because things change over time. You've been in business for 30 years. You might learn something from the younger folks that are there. So that's what makes it great.
Yeah. It's a spicy chili that they make over there at Arrival, man. You know what I mean? And there's like a whole heaping pot of it. And it's like I've been, it's hard not to look through the lens of the operator until you have to look through it through the opposite end of the lens. So Bruce and I had a conversation, and I said something about like, well, you know, like you want to make the guests happy, but you also want to make the sponsors happy. And he was like, oh gosh, like story of my life. And I could just see like the same type of wash come across his face as like when something like happens with a boat rental and my employees or something like that. And I'm like, well, yeah, you know, like I want to make the guest experiences obviously paramount to everything that we do, but I also don't want you guys to hate your jobs, you know, and you're trying to juggle those two things, and they don't always connect together perfectly the way you want. And it's a very difficult, And look, if you're just listening to this show and you're like, oh, I wasn't even at Arrival, or I don't even know what you guys are talking about. I'm new to business conferences. Like, because most business conferences, and I'm not like Captain Business Conference or whatever, like they're not enveloping all of these different industries together, business models together, commodities and brands. Like they're putting all of this shit into the stew so we can all learn from each other. And it was something that I said to Douglas, or it was a question that I posed to Douglas Quinby, the CEO of Arrival, and I said, well, like what is Arrival's like mission? Like what are you guys here to do? Like what is or I think maybe I phrased it, well, what is the one thing that's what it was. I was like, what is the one thing that everyone is coming to Arrival for? What is like the one thread that ties us all together? And he was like really thoughtful about it. Like he did his like Douglas way, like looks off into the ether and like kind of like thinks about it for a second, because he has to have a thoughtful answer. And my answer was simple. I was like, money. Like, everyone's here to make more money, dude. Understand the bottom line. That's like what everybody's here for. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I actually had to pull my phone because I got a text from Clayton. Clayton's from Vancouver Water Adventures, and he was really working the whole room the 3 or 4 days he was there. And Clayton, first time person at Arrival, he's in our community, one of the many that we convinced to go and participate. But he sent me this on Monday. He said, "Thanks for helping me to decide to come to the forum and Arrival. I definitely got the value and knowledge I was looking for. I think that event can result in around a $1 million uptick in our business."
That's awesome, man.
That's what he sent me. And here's the thing. You have to make it work for you too. Like, if you go and just sit and don't talk to anybody, that's one thing, but you really have to work the room, move around. Clayton was basically doing demos with every single company there. And he wasn't just doing it because maybe he was going to interested in signing the price. He was doing it to get knowledge. And they're all willing. Like, I had many demos with folks that I just gave away free knowledge. Maybe I get their business future, maybe I don't. But like, a lot of the salespeople have a lot of that, and they're willing to give it for free because they're there and they're trying to build a relationship with you. So he really worked the room. He was one of our roundtable hosts. And that was one of many people. Like, that's the only testimonial that I got so far in written format, but most people came up to me and just said a lot of positive things about the knowledge that they've gained from both the forum and Arrival. So
let me I would like to touch back on that real quick. There's like a thought finish I had there to circle back on that, without getting like too deep into it. But I do want, because we crest this sort of wave of lifestyle business versus entrepreneurship, and I think the reason that Douglas had a difficult time answering that question, I think we all would, right? So if you ask, like, well, what's the point of Destiny Water Adventures? I would say, like, well, we're just show kids a good time. We want people to have fun. We want everybody to remain safe. We have a passion for the water. We have a blah, 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 and I would do my whole spiel. But then, like, bottom line, right, the only way that we can keep that engine going is by the oil in the machine that is money. And so this is where you started to get into the weeds on this, and the networking and automations and relationships and all of these things that Arrival brings together. You have to sort of drill down into those weeds and watch those metrics and that data move, and these, like, because everything is sort of like an ecosystem, from relationships to the economy to all of it. And if it can't be measured, then it can't be managed, right? So this is where I kind of like have to, get into the weeds with Arrival a little bit. Because like we want to make sure, like, yes, all of these things are happening, but at the same point in time, we have potentially some stormy waters. Things are changing in the economy and the world, and we have to be nimble. And I think the approach to that, like, as it stands right now, I think we have to shift our mindset from marketing and content and thinking about in terms of having a well-oiled machine. Before we even started recording, Greg was kind of bemoaning like Google, strategies.
Yeah.
What I mean to say is, like, the Arrival that we were at in 2022 is not the Arrival of 2023. And to really get your finger on the pulse of your business, this is why we were so financially centric, however you want to say it. Focused, thank you. Focused at the Watersport Forum, because we are in some turbulent waters, to say the least, right now. And I want that to be the message that I'm sending to every operator, because I know it's good for me. I know it's good for you. I know it's good for the entire market.
Yeah. So, what I was going to ask you is, what are like your biggest takeaways this year from both the port and Arrival? Are there any themes or tidbits of information that you left with that are you now maybe working on or being into?
Yeah. So I think it's a philosophy, right? And Douglas loves philosophy. He's a Shakespeare guy, really like Shakespeare. But it's a philosophy, right? And my takeaway from this year. Oh man, there were so many takeaways. There's so many valuable lessons, man. You hit me with a really hard question.
Okay, all right. I'll tell you. Well, your takeaway? My takeaway was that they finally did it right and got the hot tub open till midnight. That's the first takeaway. And other than one of the hot tubs was too cold, so I have some complaints about that. But my second takeaway is the Google game is no longer like a viable, sure thing type marketing channel like it has been. And everyone I spoke to kind of recognized that it has gotten a little out of control. Not just because of the cost, but Google is also making it harder for your organic listings. Like a lot of the people I spoke with was, hey, if you're not number 1 or number 2 in Google anymore, then forget about it. I mean, we're number 3 in a very high volume search in Destin, and we get like 15 clicks a week. So, the delta between the top rankings is nice. So now everyone's forced to do ads and the spending. So what it has forced me to do is I'm now focused very heavily on sales, where partnerships are going to come into a much bigger play in the future, because Google isn't the channel that, I mean, we've been very reliant on Google at TripShock. I mean, that's the number one thing. And most OTAs, in fact, if Google went away, most OTAs couldn't even, afford to keep going. So we've already started looking at corporate sales programs, partnerships, really going heavy. We've done that already, but we're taking it to a whole new level in 2024 because of just the feedback I've gotten from operators and other tech companies that are going through the same thing. Another theme that I've kind of got is that there are a lot of people starting tiki businesses. It's like every tour operator I spoke to is like, ask me about the tiki business and how to get it. And hey, if I just put a tiki skirter on my pontoon, you think that would pass for it? Like, honestly, there's so many tiki businesses out there. It is. I mean, if it's selling, hey, why not? We got Kai started the Tiki Pub franchise. You got Cruising Tikis. I mean, it is just wild how many this tiki stuff.
So I want to touch back, I sort of like in my musings. When you hit me with that question, I think I went down like a tentacle I wasn't able to complete. And as you spoke, it came back to me, like the philosophy piece of it, and we talked about it in the forum. And it was like blood in the streets and flags in the air, right? So when there's blood in the streets, when things are bad, it's like time to attack. When everybody's saying, "Oh, this is great, this is the best thing," like now it's time to retreat. Like, I'm not saying like don't get into tiki businesses, because again, this is all very fluid. But my biggest takeaway from Arrival was exactly what you said. It's like if everybody is like hoarding toward this thing and everybody's pushing toward this thing, whether it be like AI, ChatGPT, Google, and everybody's all fucking in there, like, okay, like where can I find opportunity in the periphery? Where can I find opportunity in outbound? Where can I find opportunity in my direct market, in relationship building, and all of these things? While everybody's clamoring in one piece, how can I be leveraging what everybody's not doing, right? So, and you can go either way with that, right? It's not like a debate. Like if everybody's clamoring for pontoons, that doesn't necessarily mean like I'm not going to rent pontoons anymore, but the market's exploding. So it's like, well, man, is there some opportunity for us to get into, as you said, corporate sales, maybe a new offering, whatever it may be. But it's always my philosophy to dust in the edges. It's like looking at, hey, what did we miss here? What did we miss there? Like, what did we pick up? Everybody's focused on this one thing. Like, that's a perfect time for disruption. And so that was like my my main takeaway. Like I can see all the programming and see what everybody's pushing toward. And yeah, we have our efforts in that, but where's the opportunity lying in the places that people aren't thinking about things? Like, what can I do that separates us from the pack? And while we continue to focus on all of these great automations and technology and Google and all these other things, well, what are some other places that everyone's staying completely out of that we can get involved in and raise that up to be the next? How do we be early?
Well, and to add to that, man, I spoke to a lot of operators this year that are just now doing OTAs for the first time. Not so because they want to, because out of necessity, because they're not having the year that they expected. But man, so many people were talking about joining OTAs. A big difference between the last couple years where they were more so just about getting the right reservation software. But now it's, okay, how do I utilize the software and get more product? But to me, I think it's old news, because that's what I've always been preaching the past 14 years. To me, the people that have been using OTAs, their next move is sales, corporate sales, group sales, going after different opportunities, because the OTAs, like if you're in a market like Key West, OTAs is not a business that you're going to just miraculously get you $1 million worth of business. In fact, with how competitive it is, you're probably going to pay an extraordinary commission. You got to compete with, the big three over there. Like, OTAs are not necessarily the next big thing, for you. If I'm just starting a business, yeah, OTAs are going to be part of it and you're going to get a piece there, but you're going to have to do things that are way outside your comfort zone to make a difference, like especially next year, because the corporate business is still there. The hotels, weddings, people are not going to stop having weddings. Corporations are going to continue doing team building retreats, maybe not as crazy as they've been before, but they will still be doing that. It's still out there, all that stuff. So I think that is the big theme, is that people need to start going after things, because the digital side is going to get overrun. It's going to be difficult next year. I mean, we're anticipating it.
Yeah, I was really happy to see, and it seemed like and like the swap card experience of how they had everything like sort of like delineated product growth. And again, I just they might have had this. I know they're trying to get their. This is the first year they use swap card, right?
No, they used it previously.
Man, well, again, I'm a technology dummy sometimes, but like the integration between the Arrival app and the swap card app. Can you touch on that a little bit then and explain that to me, like where I missed the boat on that, or where some
there is no integration between the two. They swap card manages the event, so it's like a mini social network. Where you can connect with people, schedule meetings.
This is the first year I ever had swap card downloaded on my phone. I always had the Arrival.
Well, even before it was swap card, I think there was something else. There was another Invenium, I think they used. Yeah, so they've always had this.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Well, regardless of that, I liked the sessions, the way everything was broken down, as far as like there was a lot of topics in there. I liked that there was a lot of business development in there. Like I felt less, and just maybe it was where my focus was, but I felt less hit over the head than in past arrivals with ResTech and OTA. And I really like seeing that there was some a good amount of Chenmark was in there. The financial and business strategy stuff, I think, is just it's just so key right now. Like I don't think we can market our way out of a little bit of a dilemma that we're going into right now.
Yeah.
And it's
you got to raise cash. All this shit. Yeah, you got to raise cash, and you got to change your mindset on how you acquire customers. And it might take, it might require you to get out of your comfort zone.
And I hope they heard loud and clear. Yeah. I hope they heard loud and clear, because, and I think Douglas did. Sales is big. Like it's just it needs to be on everyone's top of mind right now. Like this is what I'm talking about. Like I've been preaching it from the mountaintops, and it's just I feel like it's even more important now than ever, man. Especially with the cost to acquire, with Google's, with OTAs, with all these margins getting so big, man, and everyone like running to ChatGPT and sort of homogenizing their processes through automation, which all that stuff is great. I have no beef against any of that. You got to have a person in there. You have to have somebody in there managing these things and like actually reading the data and then analyzing the data and then adding, subtracting products, services, pricing, such and so forth. But the customer connection is going to be more important than ever now. Those relationships we were talking about at the top of the show is so important. That organic connection that you're making in your community and with your staff and with and your customers is going to be more important than that, because you're hammering over the head with SMS, email, search, ChatGPT, homogenized blog articles, top of the rank, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and
the way that you're going to be able to separate yourself from the pack is through creating these relationships.
Yeah, and none of you came to the port because of Google paid ads. I'll tell you that much. Most of you came because you're listening to the show, you interact in our community, or have you been to a past event? So just think, I mean,
our
we
SEO
couldn't even
sucked.
Our SEO sucks. Yeah. I mean, there's no one Googling the water sport conference. That's just not that's just not a search that
I was. Yeah. I was. I'll be 100% honest. Like, and this is like all way above my pay grade. But there were times where I'm like trying to find things and I'm like plugging into Google. And to this point, right back to what we talked about earlier, Bruce email, his team, they had to come get me by hand. So like this only further highlights my point that we need to make sure that in concert with these automation tools and ChatGPT and assistants or AI or whatever program it is that you're using, you still need to very much be in the mix, whether it be personal branding, however you're going to achieve this, customer service, like the face, like this is, I think, is what wins the war going forward into this thing. Is like, these tools are great, but who is the mechanic that's got their hands on it?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I got to give props to Dustin. Dustin had a very, very compelling presentation with the automation. I think the timing of him doing that presentation, where a lot of operators are looking for ways that are outside of the Google and the Facebook sphere, he just rocked it. And I think he messaged us just before we started the show. Said he had a few. He said he had a few signups already. So that was he did a great job. So I mean, I think the topics we covered were extremely relevant. The roundtables were extremely relevant. Arival just added more to that. I went to Maya Schilder. She had a session on compliance, and it wasn't a very well attended, but it was the last day, and also it's compliance. But man, she crushed it. Like that was one of the most, and I knew a lot of that stuff already, and I still learned a lot about it. I mean, she had a room of people talking to her at the end, but I mean, the programming in the sessions, I was even happy to see that Arival added to the actual Rival program. They added water sport stuff just to kind of continue the programming from the port. So they knocked it out. They were great partners, and well, next year they're doing it in San Diego next year. We're still deciding on how. I mean, Kevin and I will be in San Diego regardless, but whether we have the port there, that's still left up to discussion. But I think if not, the port's not there, we definitely will do some water sport programming.
Planning events is fucking hard, man.
Yeah.
And I didn't even really do that. Like you and your team did everything, man. And I'm just like, yo, this fucking sucks, man. Like, dude, like it is.
Kevin and I just want to show up and just do our thing, like we just want to talk and do the
I just want to hide in my hotel room and not drink. Man, it's like look.
But we want to make sure everyone gets the. What was really good? The food. The food at lunch was fucking amazing.
Yeah, the food was
the whole week. Like, the whole week. I want to say
there was
they don't go
much, man.
Yeah, I know.
There's just so much. Like you can't even do the whole thing. Like we could probably do like a forum recap, which we're probably gonna have to do. But because it's 4 days, like you walk away with so much, man. Like actionable, value driven. I mean, like, man, like they kind of just like they peel back that onion and they really make you like look at every single facet of your business, man. Like the detail that they put into it, into the programming. There's so much, man. There's so much, and some of the things like it's like they broach difficult conversations. They have to like tread these waters with some of these massive corporations, and it, like politics kind of gets pulled into that, and it's a huge undertaking, man. Then across like multiple countries. I mean, I'm like one day event, water sport. I'm like trying to like meditate to just like walk down into the bar and just like see everybody. Like, man, it was really illuminating to see the process that they go through to bring this whole thing to life. And we're just one very small sector of a very larger ecosystem that, I can't say enough good things about all the relationships that we built, which is, it just keeps on tying back into that.
And I'm happy that it was in Orlando this year, not just because it's closer. Vegas is just a distraction for me and a lot of people, especially those who gamble a lot. And the accessibility, this shit, like it's not a good, I understand it's fun, adults like going there, but at the same time, I'm more focused when there's not a blackjack table or a show or some shit going on, because Vegas, there's just so much happening there. I like it. I would prefer it never. Vegas, I would prefer it never be in Vegas again. That's just my opinion.
Well, my problem is if they put it in San Diego, I might end up in fucking San Antonio, San Francisco, San Carlos, San Pueblo. Who the fuck knows, right? If that airport starts with a fucking SAN, man, like I might be in a fucking entirely different country, dude. Because I'm like, San, book it, flight, here we go. For those of you guys who don't know, last time it was in California, I ended up in San Francisco and had to catch a connecting flight because I just booked my ticket too fast. But as a button on the whole thing, I like get in the mix, man. Like I can't. I just there's so much that it takes 3 countries, 4 days, 3 separate events, and like the machine just keeps going, man. It like reminds me of a fucking rave sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, man, there's just so many blinking lights and lasers that I need to drill down on, whether it be finances, experiences, operations, marketing. and I'm not like I Dog Bruce, if you guys are listening to this, I fully expect to see more in the sales side other than just our one little presentation. And I've been petitioning them hard for this, and we're going in, and I said I wasn't this year. I was like, I'm done with sales. I'm done talking about it. But now I'm like, shit, man, like, golly, man, if things like with cost acquiring the way it is for trying to find customers right now, and Google, how expensive everything is, like, we got to get on the phone and start dialing.
The corporations and the reunions and all that, they are still spending money. Like we talk about who's spending money still. And I think that's the play. So, and that's where I'm focusing.
Yeah, as much as you guys don't, not a huge fan of sales, but you got to plug that shit in, man. I want to see 7 sessions on sales in California, and I'm gonna bring my North Florida ass up there and fucking talk to the West Coast with some good old down home Southern Florida, Detroit boy education, man. I ordered a very special hat for next year.
Oh, great. All right. Well, we could talk. It
is going to be fucking great. Again.
Well, we can talk for another hour about it, but I encourage you to go into the group and ask questions. If you haven't gone to the conference, ask some questions of what people got out of it. I'm sure a lot of people would respond. Also, make sure you come next year. It's probably going to be about the same time next year. We hope to see more people there and continue to grow this. And we're gonna have
and real talk.
Yeah.
Everybody that sent like a thank you message or an email, man, that shit is so appreciated. I truly, man, all the messages and well wishing and people that came up to me afterward when I snuck out of my hotel room and they'd find me and just like, man, this was such an awesome event. Do me a favor, forward that over to the Arival team, because the Port wouldn't have been 10% as successful as it was and as engaging as it was without their team and their help and their efforts. I can't say enough good things about what they did for our forum. It was just it was amazing. And Hal, man, when's the next one? What country is the next one in?
Well, they do. I think Bangkok is the next one. They do Bangkok and then Berlin and then US.
Nobody will know me over there, man. I could just go in there and blend back in with the crowd, put on my pink salmon pants, and fucking just do the business casual thing, and nobody knows what an awkward water sport guy is. So I was going to Bangkok and have some sushi.
All right, well,
that'd be great.
Hey, we appreciate everything. Make sure if you haven't, get in our Facebook group, and as always, keep it awkward.